Keep things muted here. In front of the stage, we're going to all up together. They'll stand in a line, and we're going to do yes, no, and longer response. And so just one round. Does that make sense? So, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And they're all going to remain standing.
Yeah. Once they're done talking, they can take their seat again.
Yeah. So I'll invite them all up to stand up front.
Yeah.
Good evening.
When the candidates stand up, hand them this mic.
Good evening, friends.
Hi, team.
We are glad that you are here tonight.
Do you have one?
Oh, let me, yeah.
We're going to be respectful of your time and go ahead and get started. Welcome. My name is the Reverend Ben Adams. I'm one of the pastors here at First United Methodist Church of Cary, and it is my joy to welcome you to our One Wake early voting rally. We are glad and graced that you are here with us tonight. As we do with all of our One Wake meetings, I'm going to invite you to join me in an opening word of prayer. Let us pray. Gracious God, in this season of spring when new life is all around us, we give you thanks for the abundance of your blessings. for this incredible town and community, for the beauty and diversity of our neighbors and neighborhood, for the faithfulness of leaders who have been asked, and we trust in their stewardship of this good place. We ask that in our time together that your Spirit might be among us, that you might open our hearts to one another, that you might open our eyes to see one another as you see us as beloved, and that you might open our minds and our imagination for us to see the dream that you have for us, to become the beloved community that you dream that we might be. Might this prayer that we lift to you this night not only fill our hearts and our souls, but might it flow from our lips and all that we say. Might it inspire our steps. Might it strengthen our backs and enable our hands until it is answered. We offer this prayer to you, O God. Amen.
Amen.
Friends, it is a privilege to call this meeting to order. I want to take just a moment very briefly to share with you where it is that we are headed in tonight's agenda. In just a moment, we are going to hear about the importance of a top pressure facing many of our neighbors and our communities across Cary. The need to preserve and construct affordable housing for working families and for seniors who wish to continue living in Cary. After we hear from a couple of our speakers, we're going to turn to the candidates that have joined us this evening and ask them to publicly state their support for our goals. Afterwards, we will immediately march just the 2 blocks down to the Herb Young Community Center, where participants are invited to take place in the early voting process. Along the way, we will give you signs and instructions about where to go before heading out to vote. I want to remind everyone that this event, as with our events, are always strictly nonpartisan. We will not be endorsing any candidates at this rally. Rather, we will ask the candidates endorse us and agree with our shared priority on affordable housing. Before we proceed with our agenda, I do want to just take one moment to also tell you briefly about One Wake if you are new to the One Wake community. One Wake began more than 4 years ago in a meeting of local leaders, a group of clergy and a group of community leaders who were growing frustrated by the fact that we were seeing the same needs over and over again, and we felt like we were using our resources to place Band-Aids on these gaping wounds that were existing in our neighborhoods, in our communities. Issues like affordable housing, issues like food insecurity, and other crises that many of our congregants and many of our neighbors face every day. So in those early meetings, we committed to one another that we would no longer just address the symptoms, but that we would turn our energy towards the systemic roots of many of these problems that our communities face each day. We've continued these meetings over the past 4.5 years, even through COVID, and we've renewed our commitment to one another and to this work by conducting over 4,000 listening sessions across Wake County with neighbors at coffee tables and at dining room tables and at coffee shops in order to hear the stories about the pressures that they face each week, the stresses that keep them up at night. And as we have built those relationships, One Wake has continued to grow and is now made up of 46 due-paying institutions across our county, which represent a diversity of races and classes and faiths and geographies. But we are all united around two things: the solidarity among our people in hearing their needs, and the belief in that transformation can happen in Wake County. Thank you. Yeah. One Wake's purpose is not only advocating for the policies that we care about, but we also believe in the capacity to build power so that we can create that change. We believe that power comes through organizing people and organizing money. And so the combined membership of all of our participating institutions across Wake County is over 50,000 residents. We gather money from all of our dues-paying institutions, and so our money comes internally, so we are not beholden to any lobbyists or any dollars or external political parties or candidates. Again, we don't endorse candidates. The only people that we endorse and stand beside are our members and the concerns that keep them up at night. We are so grateful that you are here and that you are with us for this rally. We are excited about the turnout. And now I'm going to pass it over to my dear friend, Reverend Wes Spears Newsom from Greenwood Forest Baptist Church, to tell you a little bit more about why we're here.
Good evening, everyone. Our church has been in a process of exploring what it would look like for us to do something about housing in Cary. And one of the things that we learned in this process was this arresting statistic. I want you to look to the person to your left and the person to your right, because chances are one of them is housing burdened in Cary. And if it's not one of them, maybe it's you. My family was lucky enough to buy a house in Cary 2 years ago. In the month since, as many of you have probably observed, we would not be able to afford any of the houses in Cary now, just 2 years later. I wouldn't be able to live in the community where I'm a pastor. My daughter would not be able to live in the community where she goes to church. And I'm afraid of where we'll be when Wake County reassesses all of our homes for those of us lucky enough to have a home in a few years. Because we've dodged this situation for now in my family, but will that hold? Because while my family may have narrowly dodged the situation of housing burden in Wake County, so many of us do not. We're talking about our teachers. We're talking about our firefighters. We're talking about our restaurant workers, our child care providers. People who make Cary great cannot afford to live in Cary. Too many of us suffer under the burden of housing inaffordability and housing expenses that are continuing to rapidly outpace our wages. And we need to do something about it. We want to celebrate what has already happened. The town of Cary passed the Cary Housing Plan in 2021, and it was a huge step from where we'd been. From what we understand, there's going to be $3.5 million in the budget next year for housing. Can we get a round of applause for that? Amen. Half that money is coming from the American Rescue Plan. That's money that's great for us to have, but it's not money that's going to be there in 2 years. So we need to make sure that whoever is in office among our fine candidates is someone who will continue to dedicate local dollars to the issue of housing in Cary. Because if our housing issues, as many of you know, they're not going away. We are preparing for what will be a long-term struggle. So that is the commitment that we are asking candidates to make tonight. Are you in this for the next few weeks while you run for election, or are you in this with us for the long haul? We need this funding for housing in Cary, also not just for the construction of new affordable housing, but we need to preserve the existing places that are affordable to live as well. I've kept hearing this election that 85% of Cary is already built, so it's hard, it's too difficult to build more housing. Okay, let's talk about that 85%. Thousands of Cary residents live in currently affordable housing that is under threat because of increased development in Cary. A nimble local fund in perpetuity will allow us to be responsive to families who are under threat of displacement and maybe even homelessness within our community. With massive corporations and developments coming in like Apple, like Epic Games, like the Fenton development just around the corner, we need to preserve the housing that we have. It needs to be a priority that we keep the people who call our community home here. So on that note, I would like to hand it over to Ivan Funes Martinez from the Las Americas neighborhood to talk about why it's important that our town preserve communities like his.
Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Iván Funes Martínez. Soy residente de Cary. He vivido en el Parque de Casas Móviles Las Américas durante 17 años. Las Américas es un parque de casas móviles donde viven 300 familias, en su mayoría hispanas. Algunos han vivido ahí durante más de 20 años. El parque es una de las últimas comunidades de vivienda asequibles en Cary, con alquileres de $400 al mes. Trabajamos en hotelería, construcción, cuidado de niños, adultos mayores, ofrecemos servicios de limpieza, jardinería y otro tipo de trabajo que a menudo benefician a otras familias de Cary. Nuestros hijos van a las escuelas y asistimos a las iglesias locales. Compramos y comemos en los comercios y restaurantes locales, contribuyendo a la economía de la ciudad. Como tal, nosotros somos miembros de la comunidad de Cary que contribuimos al éxito y al progreso de la ciudad. Cary está creciendo y cambiando. Vemos la explosión de nuevos desarrollos de viviendas, nuevos centros comerciales y el aumento de valor de la vivienda y los impuestos más altos. A medida que la zona atraiga más puestos de trabajo, se necesitará más viviendas y el costo de vida aumentará. Estamos preocupados porque vemos claramente que nuestro barrio corre el riesgo de desaparecer y convertirse en una comunidad de viviendas caras o en un parque. Si o cuando esto ocurra, ¿a dónde iremos? ¿Qué podremos pagar? Nuestras vidas están aquí. Cary es nuestro hogar. Si nos vemos obligados a mudarnos, podemos perder nuestros trabajos. Tendríamos que desarraigar a nuestros hijos de sus colegios y amigos e incluso cambiar de iglesia. Esta es la razón por la que nos involucramos con One Way para presionar por una distribución anual de la ciudad para viviendas asequibles. Nos emocionó escuchar que los líderes electos de la ciudad de Cary incluyeron $3.5 millones como parte de su plan inicial para el presupuesto de 2022-2023. Sabemos que si estos fondos se aprueban, podrían utilizarse para ayudar a proteger, mejorar y construir viviendas asequibles en Cary. Es nuestra sincera esperanza de que esta noche todos los candidatos a cargos electos prometan públicamente su apoyo a estos fondos para los próximos años. De esta manera, más lugares asequibles como las Américas serán una opción para familias. Muchas gracias.
Hi, so this is the English version of what was just read in Spanish. Hello, my name is Ivan Funes Martinez. I am a resident of Cary. I have lived in the Las Americas mobile home park for 17 years. Las Americas is a mobile home park where 300 mostly Hispanic families live. Some of us have lived there for over 20 years. The park is one of the last affordable housing communities in Cary, which rents of $400 per month. We work in hospitality, construction, child care, senior care. We provide cleaning services, landscaping, and other types of work that often benefit other families in Cary. Our children go to schools, and we attend local churches. We shop and eat at local retailers and restaurants, contributing to the tax base of this town. As such, we are members of the Cary community who contribute to the success and progress of the town. Cary is growing and changing. We see the explosion of new home developments, new commercial centers, raising home values and higher taxes. As the area attracts more jobs, more housing will be needed, and the cost of living will raise. We are worried because we can clearly see that our neighborhood is in change is in danger of disappearing and becoming another expensive housing community or even a park. If or when this happens, where will we go? What can we afford? Our lives are here. Cary is our home. If we are forced to move, we can lose our jobs. We would have to uproot our children from their schools and friends, and even change churches. This is the reason why we got involved with One Wake, in pressing for an annual allocation from the town for affordable housing. We were excited to hear elected leaders from the town of Cary have included $3.5 million as part of their 2022-2023 preliminary budget projections. We know those funds, if approved, could be used to help protect, improve, and build affordable housing in Cary. It is our sincere hope that tonight all candidates for elected office publicly pledge their support for those funds for years to come. That way, more affordable places like Las Americas will be an option for families like ours. Thank you.
Buenas noches, One Wake. Good evening, One Wake. My name is Javier Almendares Bautista. I'm a priest at St. Paul's Episcopal Church right down the street, and I am one of the co-chairs of One Wake strategy team. My role tonight is simple. I will ask the candidates present tonight whether they will work with One Wake to support the continuation of a designated affordable housing fund if they are elected. As a reminder for everyone here tonight, One Wake is a nonpartisan organization. We do not endorse candidates or political parties. We are willing, eager, and able to work with any decision maker who supports our grassroots agenda. That is embedded in our DNA, a commitment to nonpartisan work for the purpose of practical change, a vision of the kind of politics we wish to see in our community. In a moment, we will call on each candidate to publicly answer a question. We will ask every candidate to provide a clear yes or no answer. After your clear response, we will allow each candidate 2 minutes to elaborate on your answer. We will call on incumbent candidates first, and afterward, we will call on the remaining candidates in alphabetical order. We will keep time, and we will give each candidate a 30-second warning. Could I have our timekeeper raise their hand right there? You'll see him right there. Gotta give it up for the timekeeper. We will keep time, and we will give each candidate a 30-second warning, and at 2 minutes, we will ask you to stop and hand over the mic to the next candidate. The question for candidates tonight is simply this: if elected, will you work with One Wake to preserve and increase affordable housing in Cary, including the continuation of the designated fund for housing in 2 years when the federal money expires? That's the question. I will repeat the question for each candidate, and after you articulate a clear yes or no answer, you will have 2 minutes to elaborate on your response. Now, I would like to invite all the candidates to stand in a row right over here and face the crowd. Is Miss Jennifer Robinson here in the room?
Katia, good to meet you. And then you pass it on the microphone when it's your time to talk. Not yet.
I do not think she is here. She had let us know that she would be here, but it appears that she is not. All right, I will begin with Miss Mary Innsbrucker. Miss Mary Innsbrucker, If elected, will you work with One Wake to preserve and increase affordable housing in Cary, including the continuation of the designated fund for housing in 2 years when the federal money expires?
Yes.
Thank you. You now have 2 minutes to elaborate on your answer.
Hello, I am Marian Sprucker running for Cary Town Council District C, and I am the only candidate with experience in an affordable housing program. I was the regional director of one of the largest nonprofits in the Midwest, and I oversaw an affordable housing program and brought it to fruition. I have a catalog of skills to partner with churches, communities, and corporations to get this job done. And as someone here already mentioned, the Googles, the Apples, the Epics, their influx of employees is part of the housing problem, so they need to be part of the solution. Additionally, I'm not waiting for that to happen. I've already connected with some folks at the town to hear what are they doing, what's going on, and again, to answer your question, future monies, where are they coming from? So I'm already working on this a little bit. I am endorsed by Sheila Ogle, Deborah Meehan, Elisa Kolapi, and 2 people who have actually done the town council job and believe I can do a good job, Irv Portman and Marla Jarrell. You know, I'm a well-rounded candidate besides affordable housing. I'm hearing from my folks, and I want their platform to be mine. Other things like, you know, take care of the transit, take care of the environment, watch the development. So I'm good to go with all of those. And I do with the pledge of honesty, transparency, approachability. I'm Mary Innsbrucker. I go by Mary for Cary because Innsbrucker's a little tough to remember, but I'm the only Mary on the ballot, and I am the only person for this job.
Thank you. I will now address Ms. Carissa Johnson, since we are going in alphabetical order here. If elected, will you work with One Wake to preserve and increase affordable housing in Cary, including the continuation of the designated fund for housing in 2 years when the federal money expires?
Yes, I will.
You have 2 minutes to elaborate on your answer.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here. And I wanted to just share a few things. I am Carissa Johnson. I'm running at large here in Cary. Started running last summer. I've been running for a while. Working with Amanda Murphy. We've been running together for almost a year. And when I started because of affordable housing. I thought being pro-affordable housing would make me unelectable. But I did it anyways, because it's the moral thing to do, it's the right thing to do, and this is Cary, we can do it. There's just no excuse not to. I wanted to share why it was so on my radar. I live about 2 blocks from here, and anybody that's been around Cary for even a little while knows that these modest neighborhoods, they're disappearing. I can tell you firsthand what it feels like to experience that housing cost burden, that insecurity, to wonder where my daughter and I were going to be in a year, in a month, in a week. Luckily, I'm on the other side of that. I'm really blessed. But that being said, I want to be part of a municipal safety net for other people that don't have the resources that I'm so fortunate to have. When I lost my job, I had friends and family that could help. I understand that's not realistic for everybody, and I was paying a reasonable mortgage on a very modest home. I do get the problem. $4 million is not enough. It's just not enough. We need to also work with our county commissioners, other electeds, other organizations, and we need to really, really focus on this problem and get very creative. I wanted to just share one other thing. You know, I've been at a lot of these One Wake forums. These are great. I'm always inspired. But I hope that as voters here in Cary, you'll notice that rarely are my competitors part of these conversations. That's all I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you.
Mr. George McDowell, if elected, will you work with One Wake to preserve and increase affordable housing in Cary, including the continuation of the designated fund for housing in 2 years when the federal money expires?
Si, senor.
Thank you. You have 2 minutes to address the crowd.
I have the solution to the affordable housing crisis. That is to pay our professionals and all others a wage where they can live in the communities where they serve. That is utterly impossible in a sheep-like society where only 50% of the people vote for President of the United States. And in the last, when I ran in 2017, 1 person in 13 voted in the municipal election. So my solution won't be accepted, and I admit that I will be a follower in the fight for affordable housing. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Chase McGrath, if elected, will you work with One Wake to preserve and increase affordable housing in Cary, including the continuation of the designated fund for housing in 2 years when the federal money expires?
Yes, and that is an easy yes.
Thank you. You have 2 minutes.
Cary is a leader in many things. Our peers in the region and across the nation often look to us as an example of how to get things right in local government. But when it comes to housing affordability, we are lagging behind. We are seeing our peers around the triangle do housing right, try to take steps to address these issues in their community. Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, they are all outpacing us. And the response I hear from council is, we're doing our best. Give us a little bit of credit. This is tough stuff. It's complex. You don't get how hard it is. But there is more to be done. The housing plan that was passed in November of last year was a good step forward, but it is not a tangible step towards addressing housing insecurity in our community. There are goals, but there are no way to measure them. And when a year elapses in November of this year, we'll have no way of knowing if we made any tangible progress on those goals. But how do we address this? We need a plan that sets out real steps to address housing affordability, housing burden insecurity in our community, and ways to measure those. And we need to find reliable, consistent funding sources beyond just federal money to address those concerns and move the needle on this issue in our community. The money that we're talking about pledging tonight is not enough. $3.5 million of federal money or local money is not enough. But this is not a problem we can spend our way out of. It will require constant observation and leadership to make sure that we can make progress every year and keep more working families, seniors, and individuals in our community and part of the fabric of what makes us Cary. Parks and greenways are amenities, but housing is a necessity. Let's start seeing the town treat it with the magnitude of the problem that it is, and it is a crisis. I'm Chase McGrath, running for District A. Thank you.
Miss Amanda Murphy.
100% yes.
I still have to ask you the question.
Okay.
If elected, will you work with One Wake to preserve and increase affordable housing, including the continuation of the designated fund for housing?
100% yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
2 minutes.
I'm Amanda Murphy. I'm actually a member of this church. And welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. My story includes housing insecurity. Back in 2014, I became a single mom. And I rented an apartment for me and my 2 daughters. I gave them 1 bedroom, the master. And kids, I'm sure you know this, their feet do not stop growing. And they constantly need new shoes. We needed groceries. We needed to pay the rent. And I was considered, I was cost burdened. And luckily I'm not in that position right now, but I do not want anyone in this community to have to experience sleepless nights because you're not sure how you're going to feed your kids or how you're going to get shoes on their ever-growing feet. Carissa and I have spent more than the past year researching, talking to experts locally and statewide. There are programs in our state right now where they're bringing in bond money in upwards of $20 million because they have public-private partnerships. The town of Cary can do a lot more. We have Morgan Mansa, who helped write the housing plan. She builds amazing relationships with stakeholders in our community. We need to let her loose. We need the will of council to be such that we say, Morgan, it's time. Like, what can we do? And we need to fund the affordable housing plan. What else was I going to tell y'all? I'm just excited to be here. I love grassroots movements, and y'all came out tonight large. Thank you. Amanda Murphy for Cary Town Council.
Thank you. We have several town council candidates who were unable to make it tonight. Mr. King George, Mr. Jack Smith, and Mr. Ed Yirha. They have all expressed their support of our proposals and have written statements which will be posted on our website tomorrow. So you will get to hear from them once you check the website tomorrow. And we also have additional candidates for office other than town council here. Lisa Mead for Wake Commissioner in District 3 and Nathan Click for Congressional District 13. We did not invite your opponents to join us tonight, so we regret that we cannot invite you to address the crowd, but we thank you for being here with us. And if you have a statement to share with the One Wake community, you can reach out to us and we will make that available. So thank you for your time, and thank you to all the candidates. You may be seated. I will now hand things over to the Reverend Linda Belto for a call to action.
Good evening. I'm Linda Velto, Reverend Linda Velto from Good Shepherd United Church of Christ. And my role for this evening is to clarify what we have heard so far this evening and to introduce what we do next. Tonight, we learned that over a dozen institutions in Cary have partnered through One Wake to address the crisis of housing, the urgent need to preserve existing and construct new affordable housing. One Wake applauds the efforts of the Cary Town Council to put an affordable housing fund, a designated fund, into the next budget. And we strongly support the continuation of that designated fund once the federal monies expire. We've rallied here tonight to win the support of Town Council candidates on this issue, asking them if they will commit to the continuation of a designated fund when there is no more federal money. And we have all heard their responses. So now, we've accomplished a lot, but there's more work to do. We have to dedicate ourselves and our institutions to this work because we cannot hold the candidates accountable to their commitments if we have not first held ourselves accountable. Today is the first day of early voting, and now that we have heard from the candidates, it's time to go vote. And it's time to encourage our friends, family, members of our congregations, and our neighbors to join us in voting as well. On March 31st, the One Wake core teams from 12 member institutions committed to getting pledges from 1,000 Cary residents to vote in Cary's municipal election. You heard a statistic about how few Cary residents voted in the last election, or in the 2017 election. We need the Cary voters to turn out. I will briefly list the commitments by institution as a reminder to the leaders in attendance tonight. Baptist Grove Church, 30. Cary Presbyterian Church, 100. Christ the King Lutheran Church, 100. First United Methodist Church, 100. Good Shepherd United Church of Christ, 65. Greenwood Forest Baptist Church, 100. Kirk of Kildare Presbyterian Church, 50. Las Americas, 10. Raleigh Mennonite Church, 10. St. Francis United Methodist Church, 50. St. Francis Catholic Church, 10. St. Paul's Episcopal Church, 100. Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Raleigh, 100. We need to find all of those voters. We are asking all core team leaders to submit final reports on their efforts to secure commitments to vote by May 14th, which is the last day of early voting. We're also calling on leaders to support our next nonpartisan Get Out the Vote canvass of Precinct 0403 on Thursday, May 12th at 6 p.m. If you're wondering, that's the neighborhood that I live in, actually, along Walnut Street, between where Epic Games will be and the redevelopment of South Hills. If you want to help One Wake reach our Get Out the Vote goals tonight, you can take out your phones. Take out your phones and text VOTER to 919-635-4770. That number again, 919-635-4770. Text VOTER to that number, and we will contact you with opportunities throughout the election to help support this important campaign. In just a moment, I will ask all of us to rise and proceed out of this room to commence the march to the polls. We will march to the Herb Young Community Center, where voting began today. And first, here are your instructions. We will exit by releasing from the front row first and working our way to the back. At both sides, there are exits. At both sides of the exit, there are signs available, and we ask that you take a sign to hold during the march so it's clear to the people out there what we are asking for. These signs will double as yard signs, so feel free to take them home with you to display in your yard leading up to Election Day. During our march, we will walk down the sidewalk, obeying all traffic signals so that we can get there safely. Once we get to the community center, we will need to leave the signs outside as we go in to vote. Thank you so much for being here this evening, for your commitment to Cary residents, and for voting in this election. Front rows, you may stand and begin to lead us out. I invite everybody to stand to head to the polls. Let's go vote.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, oh well.
It's a good try.
Oh, here it is.
That's the way it is, yeah, yeah.
one. Deep, deep down in your heart, we are one.